We will inspect your homes, your home right now.
Hello. We ready? We're ready to dive in. I feel like we should just dive into some whole. This one's a really long story, and it seems like it might be a little silly goofy, but it got 10K upvotes. And when has Reddit been wrong, you know? Am I the a-hole for canceling all of our streaming services to hire a housekeeper without asking my husband first? My 28F and my husband 30M just welcomed our first baby almost 3 months ago. Understandably, it has been a huge adjustment for both of us. She's still not sleeping through the night, and we're both back to work full time. We have always split the household responsibilities 50-50. We just help where needed, and it's always worked out well. Lately, my husband has been doing the chores terribly, and I've had to come behind him and fix things or clean them again. For example, he cleaned the bottles the other night and they were cleaned so poorly I had to do them again. He dropped pump parts down the disposal and then ran it, ruining them. There have been several clothes that he didn't clean after a blowout that are now ruined. There are many more instances like this. I've confronted him a few times, letting him know we all make mistakes, and I know we're both tired, but it feels like he's not even trying to do things well. He just keeps saying he's so tired and is having a hard time working and taking care of the house and baby. I do sympathize with this, as I'm also working, pumping, recovering, and taking care of the house and baby. The final straw for me was when he told me to go to sleep and he'd put up the milk I'd just pumped and finish the dishes. I was so grateful until I got up and realized that the milk had been sitting on the counter at this point was no good anymore. He said he was sorry, he put on a show to relax for a bit before doing the dishes and fell asleep. The next day I decided to cancel all of our streaming services, PlayStation Plus, and our theme park passes in order to hire a housekeeper. I figured if he's too tired to do basic household chores, then a housekeeper is necessary. If he's too tired to put milk up, then he's too tired to play video games or for us to go to a theme park. We still have cable and the PlayStation games and can do other activities outside of the local theme park. He blew up at me and said I had no right doing that and was furious. I thought I was doing us a favor so we can get more sleep and not worry as much about household tasks. So am I the asshole for hiring a housekeeper without asking? And you know that that's not the issue here. Hiring a housekeeper without asking is not the issue here. I don't feel like it is weaponized incompetence. This does not read weaponized incompetence to me. If the man had like been playing games or something instead of just like he fell asleep, you know? Yeah, incompetence for sure. I don't know about weaponized. Right. There's an edit here. Okay. I see a lot of comments about communication. I have been communicating non-stop about my needs and my expectations. I've let a lot of mistakes slide because I know this is hard for both of us. Okay. The way that that's worded, I've been communicating non-stop about my needs. Communication is two ways. I've let a lot of mistakes slide because I know this is hard for both of us, but when it became a daily thing, I let him know if he's unable to do his part, then I need additional help. I mentioned hiring some help and he laughed and said, "What a ridiculous waste of money." I knew if I asked again, the answer would be no, so I made the decision for both of us. Also, I didn't throw away the TV or the PlayStation, I just canceled our subscriptions for them. We were paying around $100 between the two. Our internet includes a handful of cable channels and Peacock, and we have plenty of PlayStation games that we can still play. We both play video games and watch TV. I probably watch more on streaming, so canceling them affects both of us. Housekeeping is $300 a month, and everything I canceled, including Disney passes, is about $230, so it won't be as much of a financial burden. Plus, it will save more money as well, since I won't have to replace destroyed pump parts, clothes, and breast milk. Both of them need to hear each other out. Oh, absolutely. Both of them need to sit down and have an actual honest to goodness conversation instead of, I know it would be really fucking hard for them because they're both tired as fuck. They're both overworked, most likely underpaid. Everyone's underpaid. They're just nagging at each other constantly. Communication is a two-way street and they're both tired. However, only one of these people pushed a baby out of their vagina and had their body wrecked. I feel like she has the right to talk about her needs in the moment. Oh, absolutely. But like, I'm saying that in and of itself, communication implies a conversation being had and being understood within two parties, not just one person berating another. You know what I mean? It sounds like they're just like nagging at each other instead of collaboratively problem solving. The way that she literally says, hey, I need more help. What if we get a cleaning service? He said, what a ridiculous waste of money. But he's also putting pump parts down the fucking garbage disposal. Communication isn't going great, but I will say at least she's solving the bigger problem than the one he's created. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's play in that space for a second where she does bring it up to him, where she's like, hey, I'm canceling our streaming services so we can afford a cleaning service so that we both get a little more help around the house so we can sleep. Do we honestly think he would have been receptive to that? Do we honestly think he would have been like, yeah, that's a great idea? Or do you think he'd be like, what a ridiculous waste of money? Again, my needs are my daughter's needs. I need her to be fed with milk that's not spoiled, pumped from clean and unbroken pump parts. What I'm asking from him is to help to make sure our daughter is taken care of. Since he couldn't, after expressing my concerns several times, I hired someone who can. If that's self-absorbed, then so be it. She comes first now. Good. Yeah. So Reddit sucks here. I feel like we were arguing semantics, really, about like how she would bring up her needs and like the collaborative problem solving that needed to happen. But Reddit's like, you are self-absorbed for hiring a cleaner to help care for your daughter? Also, like, you can always sign back up for the streaming services anytime. Right. Like, the more and more we stew on it, the more I'm like, wait, this man just sucks. I guess when you really boil it down, it's like, why are you angry? Are you angry because she didn't tell you? Or are you angry because you expected your wife to take care of everything and also still work? Like, why are you actually mad? I feel like hiring the housekeeper and canceling streaming services after I don't know how long of trying to like come up with solutions isn't actually that bad, you know? I'm in the everyone sucks camp, but I get why. Yeah, it's close. It's close for sure. I could literally see both ways. I'm gonna say not the asshole because someone has to be the adult in the room. Yeah. Because like the part where OP sucked was the lack of communication with the decision that she made, right? And the part where the husband sucks is everywhere. At what point do you no longer suck because someone sucks more, you know? Just interesting to think about. Sometimes you just need to make decisions when it's obvious things need to change. Right. Someone had to make the executive decision. I'm glad it was the adult with priorities. Yeah, exactly. And I think that really leads us to how we frame and how we judge this story specifically. I like this. I did not think we were going to get this much discussion out of this post. That's pretty fucking sick, and I like that a lot. Here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to open up a giveaway, and whoever wins gets to choose the word or phrase that we search Am I the Asshole for to find a new post. Ms. Breck. What's our keyword search? Shih Tzu. What's the top Shih Tzu post? Am I the hole for not giving my ex-girlfriend and her family her late brother's dog? Long story short, my ex's brother and I were co-workers. How I met my ex, as much as we worked well together and had some bant, we weren't close at all and weren't friends, which is why I was shocked to get a call from him 4 weeks ago asking if I could take care of his Shih Tzu while he went to the hospital. Apparently he'd called all his friends, but they were either anti-dog or didn't have the space for one, and I was his last option. So I said yes. I'd prefer not to go into the reasons of his hospital visit or his death, but the point is he died a week later. Still sad, even though we didn't know each other well. His funeral was last week, but I couldn't go because it was at his parents' out of town. I didn't really think about what would happen to the dog until his sister, my ex, called last night asking if I still have the dog and basically said she was coming to town this week to fetch her. The problem is, I've really bonded with this dog. Like, I wasn't really a dog person, but damn, she really made her way into my heart. She's just playful and a great dog all in all. Even my girlfriend has gotten attached to her, so I apologized and said I wanted to keep the dog. She lost it and gave me a rant about how the dog was first their mom's, but then it was given to him so the dog should go back to the family. I'm almost 100% sure that her brother knew he was going to die when he gave her to me to look after. You were the last resort. What do you mean? You were the last, huh? I feel like she's my responsibility now. Her and family have been messaging me nonstop, demanding me to give her back, and even messaged my dad, but he's on my side, so he told them to fuck off. My friend suggested I post here and make a decision, so am I the asshole? Yes. Yeah. Indisputably. Literally in the same post that you wrote, I was the last option because no one else could look after the dog. I feel like he meant to give this to me. He knew he was gonna die. Shut the up. Give the dog back. That's not your dog. I like the comment here. Yes, the asshole. You write, apparently he'd called all his friends and I was his last option. So you know you were his last resort. This in no way fits with your manipulative attempt to make us think, oh, it was the dying man's wish that OP take care of his beloved pet. By saying you're almost 100% sure he knew he was dying, you weren't even friends. New Dickie going live, new story, new Dickie, new hole. My 25 female recent boyfriend, 37 male, gave me a book to read. It's really, really bad. I met my boyfriend in our master's program. We became friends over this past year and started dating and becoming serious shortly before I left the state for a summer internship. He gifted me a book to read, saying it was one he liked. It's, quote, A Spell for Chameleon, end quote, by Piers Anthony, a fantasy novel written several decades ago. I knew nothing about it prior and began laughing at it 2 pages in because of how ridiculous the writing was, especially about women. We Skyped after I got through the first chapter. You can really tell that this post was from 2016. And I tried respectfully explaining my doubts about the book. He made a deal with me, knowing I'm a big Harry Potter fan. Oh, he promised to give the HP series a chance, starting with Philosopher's Stone, if I gave this book a chance and kept reading. This rocked my world, and I had a sudden burst of motivation. It was 2016, I guess. I'm on chapter 3, and I cannot stand this book. It is one of the most sexist and misogynistic texts I have ever had to read, and it honestly makes me feel like crap. Not to mention it's just poorly written all around, painfully spoon-feeding obvious symbolism, and excessively throwing in fantasy creatures / concepts that do nothing for the plot. The protagonist is a complete dillhole that I could not care less about. They literally say dillhole in this post. It says dillhole. And as a reader, I don't want to follow him or anything in the fantasy world of Xanth. Apparently this book was written in 1977. Oh. But of course, flat out telling my boyfriend these thoughts about a book he enjoys would be hurtful, and he has every right to have different preferences. I'm shocked that he would recommend such a book to me, though. He is a respectful and educated man, treating me very well and identifying as a proud feminist. This recommendation was out of left field. Does he not remember how hurtful the author's writing on women is? Did he read it at a young age and has since grown? Yeah, so I could absolutely see him reading this book like as a kid and then being like, oh yeah, I love this book, you should read it, without actually rereading it himself. I could see that possibly being a thing. I can't expect him to hold his end of the bargain and read Harry Potter, which is fine, especially if it means not having to put myself through Piers Anthony's excuse for writing ever again. I like my boyfriend a lot. How do I respectfully tell him why I cannot invest in this book anymore? It's important to me that he realizes the negative messages being suggested, but I want to do this without insulting his taste or making him feel at fault. Relevant comments. OP explains why the book is horrible. Example number 1. This is a quote. I like beautiful girls, he said, and I like smart girls, but I don't trust the combination. I'd settle for an ordinary girl, except she'd get dull after a while. Sometimes I want to talk with someone intelligent, and sometimes I want to... He broke off. Her mind was like that of a child. It wasn't really right to impose such concepts on her. Example number 2. That's the point, he said. I like variety. I would have trouble living with a stupid girl all the time. But you aren't stupid all the time. Ugliness is no good for all the time, but you aren't ugly all the time either. You are variety, and that's what I crave for a long-term relationship, and what no other girl can provide. Example number 3. All women are the same inside. They differ only in appearance and talent. They all use men. Example number 4. The whole rape trial in chapter 3. Okay. Example number 5. Other girls manage to enhance their appearance by cosmetics or padding or specialized spells. But besides Sabrina, all other females looked somewhat artificial. She was no enemy. This was the page 2 example I mentioned. Example number 6. There was much more of her he longed to see and to touch, but that could come only after marriage. She was that sort of girl, and it was part of her appeal. The girls who had it didn't need to put it on casual display. Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, the first thing to ask is when he last read this book. If, like you said, he hasn't read it since adolescence, he may not remember how truly awful it is. If he's read it recently and still recommended it, well, I'd be totally honest about how I felt about it, and that's just me. You can certainly just tell him you gave it a fair shake and it wasn't your cup of tea. Update. 3 days later. The post was locked shortly after I put it up, so I wasn't able to comment back to most of you. I went through every comment, though, and took them all into consideration. Thank you for all of your thoughts. We Skyped the other night and the topic came up. I started by saying I liked him a lot and really do appreciate how much he's willing to share with me. He caught on to where I was going with this and started laughing. Then I started laughing and I realized how silly small of a thing this all was. I guess I didn't want to risk hurting his feelings. When the reason why I didn't like the book came up, I explained and he totally understood. It's been at least a decade since he's read the book. Okay, thank fucking God, but still, he would have been 27 when he last read that book. And he can see where I would feel uncomfortable. He will still consider reading the first Harry Potter book. Don't actually, since I gave this book a chance, and being a single dad, his kids also like the series, so it would be a chance for him to connect with them more. I ended up saying that I hope this doesn't discourage him from sharing more things that he likes. If anything, it encourages me to find more that you'll appreciate. OP has updated in the comments. Update coming here. Hi, I would reply to this under the username Lazy Chick Bum, but it got locked a little over a year ago. Reddit banned me for sharing a mayor's office contact information. That's public knowledge. I created this one shortly after. It's hilarious this post is being shared because it's from such a different time in my life. Your instincts are right. This relationship only... This relationship only lasted a month-ish after this post. I took an opportunity to live and study abroad for a few months, and it was clear that he didn't want anything that deep, dodged any conversation that required vulnerability, didn't like that I wasn't always 100% perky, etc. Yeah, so he was 37 in 2016, so he would be, what, 45 now? To put it into perspective, what he'd be now. I also had a rough breakup before this and wasn't making the best judgment calls when it came to dating. I could have caught a few more things about him that gave similar concerns now as this book recommendation then, so I called it off. Oh my god, then he suddenly wanted to make it work and kept it up for over a year after the breakup. We weren't even together that long. He would text me as if we never ended and I would shut it down. He eventually stopped, but I still get occasional notifications on LinkedIn that he viewed my profile. Bro. Dude. Oh my god. I'm now happily married to someone my age, not knocking appropriate relationships with age gaps. I'm good friends with a couple who are 12 years apart, but I dodged a bullet, folks. Thanks for giving me a good laugh with this flashback. 10-year update, dude. 10-year update. Maybe 2 pumps, 1 cream. Several creams while pumping. Creaming and pumping. Pump while creaming. Pump, cream, pumpy, pump, pump, up, down, sideways, pumping, cream time, pumples. Maybe?